Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. My name is Caitlin Hughes and today I'm going to be introducing you guys to our new kitten. We got a kitten about maybe a month ago and I've been documenting the whole process and how he has adjusted to being a part of our little family, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Before I introduce you guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we got a kitten in the first place. We have our dog Shelby, she's right down here, and she just turned a year old, so we just got a dog pretty much, and we have moved to a new place and we're adjusting here. So there's been a lot of change, but we really felt like it was the right time for us to get a kitten. Joseph, my husband, and I, we both grew up with cats and we love cats, and it just felt right. I was a little nervous about getting a kitten because right before we moved, actually, my childhood cat passed away. She was about 20 years old. So she and I grew up together and I loved her so much and I will always love her. And so I was a little bit worried about whether or not it was too soon or how I would feel and everything like that. So when the time came around, it just felt so right, especially when I met him and I got to hold him for the first time. I knew, and it was perfect. Logistically, we really wanted to make sure that when we did get a kitten, we would have everything that it needed. And especially, you know, when you're first getting a kitten, you want to make sure you have a designated space to kind of introduce them to your home, especially if you already have a pet. So we wanted to be extra careful and take our time with it. We also just wanted to find the right kitten for our family. So we did a lot to prepare. I'm gonna link everything that we bought for him in the description below. So if you're interested, or if you're adopting a new kitten or whatever, if it's helpful to you, that'll all be in there. We already knew kind of what cats and kittens need because we grew up with them, but it doesn't hurt to do your research, especially because we have a smaller house. We live on a military base, so we wanted to make sure the litter is not going to stink, you know, terribly, or things like that. We wanted to make sure that we looked at all the reviews and everything and what different sites recommended. One of the really helpful ones that we looked at is called Wirecutter. They review products and things, so that was super helpful. When we were researching, we saw that people really recommended Dr. Elsie's litter, I think is how you pronounce it, Dr. Elsie, and so that is the litter that doesn't really have any kind of smell, because a lot of the times it's like, you know, like pet stuff smells bad enough, but then sometimes the litter can smell even worse or just add to that. So we really wanted to make sure, again, because this is a smaller house, that we didn't have that lingering everywhere. And so I definitely recommend that you can just get it off Amazon or wherever. And then we also got a litter genie. That's basically like a little mini trash can that has a little scooper that you can just keep by the litter box, and it's kind of like airtight so it doesn't stink, and it's great. The shelter that we adopted him at gave us a couple toys, which was great. And then we talked to our vet that we go see for Shelby, and they recommended food to us. I definitely recommend going to your vet and asking them what food they recommend, especially because you'll be bringing your pet in to get checked out by them, and if they need anything, if sensitive stomach stuff or anything like that, that's super helpful to kind of get it from the doctor and know exactly what you need for your pet to be healthy. So that's what we did. One of my favorite things that we got actually is it's almost like a little pet cabinet to keep the litter box in. So everything's super clean, and more importantly, Shelby can't get into it. I know some dogs have problems with going in and just it smells and they're interested and stuff like that. So we really wanted to avoid that. And so again, it's just like a little cabinet basically where the kitten can walk in, and it has little scratching things they can wipe their paws, I guess, and then it leads it into the litter box, and it's contained. We have little magnetic doors that we can open when we clean it. Shelby can't fit in there. There's no way she can get there, so that's been fantastic. I really recommend it. My brother and sister-in-law actually recommended it to us, and I think my aunt and uncle recommended it to them, so it's like, it's tried and true. I definitely recommend it. It's great. In terms of how we prepared Shelby, I was really nervous. I love her to death, obviously, but she's really excitable. She's a puppy, you know, so I was worried that, you know, she's going to be so much bigger than the kitten. I was worried how they would interact and if she would be gentle enough with the kitten and everything. So I was nervous about that. And so we did a couple things to prepare her and us for that interaction. One of the things I did, I don't think it did anything at all, but I showed her YouTube videos, and mostly it's just for me. I was YouTubing videos on how to introduce puppies to kittens and stuff like that, but she sits with me all the time. She's like my shadow, so she was watching them with me and she was very interested in them. And so I don't know if that kind of worked its way into her brain. Probably not, realistically not, but I kind of like to believe that she was doing a little bit of research and homework with me. But yeah, she's met adult cats before and she's been good with them. I just wasn't sure about kittens. Then when we actually brought the kitten home, we wanted to make sure that we kept them separate. Again, it can be really helpful to have a separate room for the kitten to stay in. Typically people use like a bathroom or something like that. We kept the kitten in our guest bedroom and we had everything set up for it. That way it could kind of peacefully acclimatize to our house and the smells of our house or just the feel of our house. And then gradually we could introduce her to Shelby a little bit more. We would take like, the kitten would sleep on a blanket and then we would take it during the day and then let Shelby sniff it and stuff like that. And then we would do kind of the same with Shelby. We would have like a toy or a blanket of hers and put it in the guest bedroom with the kitten. And I think that really helped. I think just getting them used to that smell of the other animal. We're really lucky in general because we have a really, really friendly dog who just wants to be buddies with everybody. So that was helpful. But I think the smells and the blanket swap is really great. I will say, we made sure to wait to do that until the kitten was done with his, they do an initial round of medication and stuff like that just to make sure there's no worms or anything like that in them. So we waited until that round of medication was done just so we weren't mixing anything with the two of them because we wanted to make sure that they both were healthy and everything was fine. So we did that and that was really helpful. But then I was taking a while to be like, oh, I don't know if we should introduce them yet. I don't know if he's too small still or whatever. And the kitten actually started to paw under the door. And sleep by the door, and Shelby would sleep by the door, and Shelby was like shocked to see this little black paw from underneath the door, and they would just kind of like bat at each other through there and sleep on either side of the door, and it was so sweet. Joseph was like, all right, I think we can do this, and so we kind of slowly introduced them there, and that was so cute. They were best friends immediately. Like the kitten was obsessed with her. Shelby was obsessed with the kitten. Everything was great. So we got really, really lucky. I'm not sure again if any of that really helped. I would recommend the blanket thing. I think especially with the dog, that's really great. But who knows? But I think we just kind of got lucky. They're both super friendly. Like the kitten, when you pick him up, he just purrs right away and they're so sweet. So yeah, so that went great. So our whole adoption process was kind of a journey. We went to a couple different shelters. We had a really bad experience at one of them, which I was like, I don't know, maybe it's just not in the cards for us yet. But Joseph was wonderful. He was like, no, our kitten's out there, all that kind of stuff. So we kept looking. So on our way home from Texas, we actually stopped at a local shelter and they had some kittens and the people were really sweet, and it was just, I don't know. I was like, okay, I think this is gonna be it, you know? So none of them were ready to be adopted yet. They were all too little, but they told us we could come back, you know, and check in. After a little bit, I went back and I actually got to hold the kitten that ended up being our kitten. My heart just melted. Like as soon as I picked him up and he just like nuzzled right into my neck and started purring, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was just so cute, and I just couldn't believe it. So it's like, okay, I need to take this one home. So a little while after that, Joseph actually picked him up and brought him home, and it was just Perfect. So that is his adoption story, and I would love for you guys to meet him. So this is our kitten. He's a sweetheart. He just purrs all the time. He's purring now, and he's just a little angel. He sleeps all the time. He purrs all the time. Literally, you like walk into the room and he purrs, and he's kind of like just floppy. He flops all over the place, like doesn't really care what you do. He's got this long tail. When we first got him, he almost looked like a little dust bunny, I guess. He was a black kitten, but he had like long gray puffy fur. So he looked like a little dust bunny, and he was so cute. And he's lost a lot of his gray so far, but he still has little bits of gray in his tail and on his back and stuff like that. His tail, you probably can't see it, but his tail kind of has like a little raccoony effect. It has little like gray rings, and it's just so cute. So for his name, we really wanted to think of something Louisiana inspired, because that's where we've moved to with the army and everything. And so we were trying to think of like, I don't know, like Louisiana foods like beignets or, you know, things like that. We're trying to think of like Cajun words and stuff like that. We're trying to think of like places or whatever, and nothing really felt quite right. Joseph actually recommended Voodoo, which just fit him. I don't know why, but he's the sweetest little kitten ever. So that is where we are with our little kitten journey, and he's wonderful. He and Shelby are basically inseparable. She's my shadow and he's hers, so they just follow each other everywhere. They have to be around each other 24/7. And they're just the sweetest little buddies, and he was the perfect addition to our family. So I couldn't be happier, and I'm so glad you guys are getting to meet him. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!